Golden Threads, welcome. I am excited this morning. I've had some really powerful messages for myself on my twin flame path, and it occurred to me, and in fact, my sister pointed out that I spoke about the fact that I'm on a twin flame path in a previous reading. Unfortunately, I can't remember which one it was, but she pointed out to me that I didn't give any explanation to what it was I was meaning when I said twin flame journey. And I kind of had the response of, yeah, but everybody knows what it is. And she said, well, yeah, but you didn't always. And so there will be people coming in who may be just coming to the idea or the awakening to the fact that they might be on a twin flame path. And I was neglectful, and I apologize for that. And I have to admit that although I've been on identifying as on a twin flame path for about 3 years, there are still moments where my 3D reality hasn't caught up. My intuition is still strong, but I can fall into doubt. I can fall into patterns of questioning, patterns of wondering, patterns of impatience. For me is a really big thing, and I have been tested relentlessly recently with impatience. And the people around me, unfortunately, have been experiencing that in me as well. I am able to apologize. I am able to get out of it quite quickly, but it has not been sitting well. And the impatience that has been, like I say, relentlessly coming at me, things that will make me impatient. You know, Spirit knows what they're up to. It's the stuff that would make me impatient may not make you impatient. So for me to list the things that may not be relevant, but from all different areas of my life. For me, for example, traffic does not make me impatient. I like traveling slow. I like feeling safe on the journey, and yeah, I like going slow. I like letting people in. That's my experience of traffic. Whereas for other people, say for example, if I'm in front of you driving along, letting people in, that may be you behind me getting impatient. Do you see what I'm saying? So, but you, perhaps if this is resonating for you, you may have been getting tested with the very thing that you become aware is perhaps one of the blocks to your intuitions coming into being, for example. We talk about manifestation quite a lot in spiritual circles, and that's also one of the key attributes, I believe, to holding back what we call manifestations. But if we take it to a more Buddhist principle, that would be holding back your happiness. So attachment holds back happiness. Attachment to outcome, which breeds impatience, holds back your happiness. So I think there are layers and layers and layers of the spiritual journey that, depending on where you're at in your timelines, you may be resonating more with ideas of impatience. You may be resonating with ideas of manifestations not coming in. You may be resonating more with the ideas of holding back your own happiness by not being present, by not being grateful, by being impatient and waiting for some other thing externally to come in. I think that will make sense to the person it's meant to make sense for. So we create our happiness I believe, by our attitude, for want of a better word, our willingness to be open and experience the moment as it is without attaching or withholding happiness from ourselves while we wait for something external to come in that we believe is going to create our happiness. Because in doing so, in the waiting, in the holding off, we are blocking our happiness, or if you want to say, blocking our manifestations. That should make sense, I hope. But this morning I had these connections for me with my twin flame intuition. They come in quite strongly. And so this morning I was sitting in meditation, as I do every morning, and I follow my meditation with a reading from a spiritual book and my journal. I journal and then I read. And this morning in my meditation, I had a realization that allowed me to see, in kind of like a snapshot picture, the difference between my previous experiences in unrequited love, my previous experiences in toxic relationships, my previous experiences in the people leaving or me leaving, and relationships not quite taking root for me. And because I have had these these various experiences of obsessive love, either obsession from the other person or the obsession from me, that didn't create an awakening for either of us, and was therefore the lessons along the path, by comparison to the twin flame experience, that when they left, they didn't desert the relationship per se. They left. They returned to their home. I didn't read that as rejection at the time. My intuition didn't read that as rejection. And it was after they had been gone that I then experienced this sudden shock and the dark night of the soul and the Kundalini awakening and the seeing everything differently and the flood of very specific synchronicities and messages from the universe, like really specific and constant, of that person. And it wasn't a general thing. I wasn't receiving your love has left. It was very particular to this particular individual that these signs were about. If you've experienced it, you know what I'm talking about, right? But I was, as I opened my eyes from the meditation, and then I journaled about the meditation, as I do, and then I opened my reading book, and if you see, my journal has got this gold thread, which I only just realized. And the reason I realized was as I turned to flick the light on to read, because the light was off and I couldn't read the book in front of me. So I turned to flick the light on, and this flicked onto the page of the spiritual reading that I was doing. They're dated. So each page is for this particular date. And so annually the date rolls around and you can use the book over and over again. But where the thread landed on the page that I was reading, highlighted, and I don't speak French, but I believe it's pronounced Raison d'être, which is your life's purpose. And as I awakened from the meditation, I saw 11:11 and 33 in two of the notifications on my phone. So 11:11 and 33 are spiritual guidance, spiritual support. You're on the right path. 33 is the master number. That your guides are really close with you. So I got all these really powerful reinforcements this morning. And this being the kind of icing on the cake, because it was given to me in a way that I would notice. I would see the importance. I would see the relevance. And I would know with the golden thread that it wasn't just a message for me. It was something that I ought to bring forward. And I hadn't been sure about bringing forward, talk much about the twin flame path, because there is a lot of confusing messaging about the twin flame path. But from my experience of it, the difference for me between, and the way that I could easily identify the difference between what I had experienced in relationship with others. I have previously experienced that obsessive, possessive love in relationship, but it didn't create an awakening. It didn't change the way I see the universe. It didn't bring about a connection to source that is undeniable, that is leading me to come and talk to you, that is leading me to feel love and experience myself as whole, as love, in a way that I didn't even really understand. When people say you must love yourself, you must be whole, on an intellectual level that made sense, but it hadn't really got into my heart. And that's where it needs to be. The learning needs to happen in the heart space. But the difference, if you are questioning, is this a twin flame? If you haven't had an awakening, if it hasn't caused a complete and utter, and don't get me wrong, this is painful. The experience of the dark night of the soul and the awakening, it is not for the faint of heart. And it is not sunshine and lollipops. It's really hard work, and it is important work. But if you haven't experienced these things with all the love in my heart, you may be experiencing really important learning. And please do not discount that as important, because it is. And the relationship may come round again. That's not for me to judge. But in terms of a twin flame experience, if it hasn't caused you a spiritual awakening, a spiritual deep experience of the universe, in my opinion, that would be the difference between obsessive love and a twin flame. I hope that's helpful. Please remember, this is my experience. And like I say, no judgment. your intuition will likely tell you exactly what it is you're experiencing. Open to your own intuition. Be open to the right to be wrong. That's really important for all of life experiences. Like when we believe we know, we close ourselves off to the possibility of, oh, this might be true too. Do you see what I'm saying? So my experience, and when I say my experience, I'm talking about my experience to this moment when I'm saying these words. And that experience may, in 10 years' time, be proved to be incorrect. And, I'm open to that. Or in a week's time, or in half an hour. Like, you get what I'm saying. Like, please be open. And I would really love to hear if you think you're on a twin flame journey, if you know you're on a twin flame journey, if you know that you're experiencing obsessive love, if you know that whatever, if you just want to just pop in and say, hey, then please do so. And welcome. And I hope this was helpful. Have a blessed day.